8,690 kilometers per hour. That's the speed of a school bus-sized chunk of metal that just slammed into the moon. No warning system caught it in the act. No astronaut saw it happen. The only proof? A flash of light captured by a telescope in the middle of the Chilean desert, and a cloud of glowing gas that shouldn't have been there. This is not science fiction. This happened, and it's only the beginning of a much bigger problem hanging over our heads. Literally. A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket lifted off from Earth January of last year, carrying a lunar lander built by a company called Firefly Aerospace. Its job? Deliver that lander safely toward the moon. Mission accomplished. The lander made it. But rockets don't just have one part. After the payload separates, the second stage, the massive metal cylinder that did the heavy lifting, usually falls back to Earth and burns up, or drops harmlessly into the ocean. This time was different. Because the mission needed more thrust than a typical satellite launch, that leftover stage didn't fall home. It kept going. Out of fuel, out of control, drifting. For months, that rocket body wasn't a headline. It was just one more piece of debris floating among thousands of others that satellites have to dodge every single day. Nobody was steering it. Nobody could. It was simply being pushed and pulled by the quiet tug-of-war of solar activity and gravity, invisible forces slowly bending its path. And that path was bending toward one destination, the moon. Slowly, silently, inevitably, a piece of human engineering was being pulled onto a collision course nobody had planned. The rocket stage, weighing roughly 4,000 kilograms, strikes the moon at nearly 8,700 kilometers an hour, close to a massive crater on the lunar far side, one so wide it swallows the exact impact point without a trace. No human eye witnessed the strike directly. It happened near the moon's terminator line, the knife-edge boundary between lunar day and lunar night. The rocket piece is understood to have hit near Einstein Crater on the moon's western limb, which is often difficult to see from Earth. At the Paranal Observatory in Chile, the European Southern Observatory's ESO Very Large Telescope detected glimmers of light associated with the impact. And for a few brief minutes, it caught something extraordinary. A plume of debris briefly lit by sunlight, rising off the lunar surface like a whisper of smoke against black sky. What has happened is essentially a mixture of solar activity and gravity forces have put it on a path toward the moon, Ms. Scheiman, SpaceX director of NASA Science and Dragon programs, told reporters on Monday. This may be of some, probably minor, scientific interest, and we may learn some things from it, said Bill Gray, creator of widely used astronomy software, Project Pluto, who calculated and published a report predicting the stage's impact in April. By January, I was pretty sure it would hit, though with only a vague idea as to where it would do so. By April, I was confident enough to post an announcement, he said. Mr. Gray said the impact presented no danger to anyone, though it does highlight a certain carelessness about how leftover space hardware, space junk, is disposed of. A Chinese rocket stage crashed into the moon in March 2022 after completing a lunar test mission. More regulation may be needed to prevent future crashes from becoming a risk to human life and infrastructure in space, according to a space safety expert at the University of Birmingham. Professor Hugh Lewis says if the moon becomes a true destination for us, it will require orbital infrastructure and lots of missions from Earth to the moon. We could see these kinds of events happening again in the future. Then they would potentially be posing risks to human life, to infrastructure that's there, to science, he says. Although today's crash did not pose a risk to the moon itself, future events like this could jeopardize the ability to land on the surface, Professor Lewis adds. But the real question is whether regulation needs to tighten, if we need new standards and guidelines to help us with missions that go to the moon.